Good evening once again, and welcome to Doctor on Call. Well, folks, it's been a while since we had a live program. There's been so much ups and downs in the past couple of weeks, but it's really good to be back. Dr. Nixon's here with me, and we do have a very special guest with us, all right? And in a moment, we'll tell you who she is, and, well, she'll tell you who she is and what she does. But it's a very special program this evening because we actually, in the month of November, Diabetes Awareness Month, and we know how serious this condition can be when not enough attention is given. So it's a good time to welcome Doc. Welcome back. It's so good to see you. How are you doing? How have you been?
Well, I like rain, so I'm a happy girl.
Oh,
so
yes.
Things happened today that made me kind of happy. I like the rain. I think we deserve this rain that we had today. It's been dry. It's been frightening for our farmers. No farming, no food.
That's
no
right.
rain, no food. And we've been talking a lot about eating what we grow, right? And growing what we eat. So I hope this is the beginning of a good time for farming and for the production of local produce so we can eat better. We've been talking a lot about front of package warning labels.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
We kind of don't need those things. We shouldn't have to be talking about them if we eat in what we grow. Okay? Or we grow in what we need to eat.
Yes,
but that's a phase, and so I hope the farmers among us are very happy.
I'm sure they are.
Everybody should plant something in a pot outside.
Yes.
The other thing that made me happy today is also the beginning of cruise ship season, and so we expect that our economy would become a little healthier, by having cruise ships. Hopefully, at the end of, I saw the itinerary and this is an older itinerary. And what the itinerary says is that when all the cruise ships have come in, at least 500,000 people, at least 500,000 visitors would have gotten to our shore. Whether they get off and spend money is not. Whether they get off and enjoy the beauty of Grenada is another story. But I'm going to say if we get 250,000, that's a good start. So we pray that we'll have some injection into the economy and into the economies of the little people who really are there for many, many, many years, pushing for tourism. And like I say, it's everybody's business. But the truth is, the little people who are there deserve some injection, especially after COVID and, the way people have had to fight to get back. So
yes, indeed.
Those are two forms of health. And a healthy nation will be a wealthy nation.
Of course, definitely. So
and vice versa.
Yes. We have, as I said, we have a very special guest with us. And so I will now allow her the opportunity to tell us who she is and, of course, what she's involved in. Good night, Mrs. Victor. How are you?
Good night, Mr. Godfrey. Good night, Dr. Nixon. And good night to the general public, the viewing public. I am Kathy Ann Mitchell Victor. I am a family nurse practitioner for the St. George's District. But tonight I'm here to represent the Grenada Diabetes Association as we begin we have started already our month of activities to mark World Diabetes Day. And, just to bring the awareness out there that diabetes is real and it can affect each and every one of us directly and indirectly.
Yes, indeed. Of course, we'll get to chat a little bit about that in a while. Hear about the association, what has been happening. I know there's some things that you definitely would like to share with us. But before we get to that, Doc, I want us to, because it's never too much to remind people about diabetes. And so many times we hear of our stories, and we've said it before here, that there was a time when someone was diabetic, that person was quote unquote well up in age. Now we're seeing teenagers, children, who are diabetic, and this is worrying. So I think it would be a good thing for us to begin by just once again just letting people know what this condition is, how you can come by that condition, and briefly how you can prevent yourself from getting there.
Well, thanks, and good night again, Grenada. I'm sorry I didn't greet. Good evening, Grenada. I'm sorry I didn't greet earlier. So diabetes. Diabetes basically is a disease that's caused when our bodies do not handle sugar well. When we cannot metabolize whatever foods produce sugar. Sugar, glucose, which is the most simple molecule of sugar, is what we need for energy. I need energy to talk. I need energy to move my hand. I need energy to wink. I need energy for my heart to beat. I need energy to think. I need energy to do any activity that a human body is going to exercise. Now, we hear about diabetes every day, but guess what? We know that first of all, there are three types. I'm going to explain things after. There are three types of diabetes. Juvenile diabetes, the diabetes that happen in children, where they're born and producing very little, or producing after a while, the pancreas just does not produce any insulin, right? And that can start from a very early age, 2, 3, 4, whenever. Okay, that's juvenile diabetes. And that is insulin-dependent diabetes. They need insulin because their body is not producing insulin, okay? Insulin is normally produced by an organ called the pancreas, which is just a little under your liver. And then you have what we saw, what you were talking about, the diabetes that used to happen in people who are 40 and 50 and up. And that is type 2 diabetes, adult onset diabetes, that's also caused. And then you have gestational diabetes. We know that some women will develop diabetes. You know, their whole body works change during pregnancy, and that some women will actually develop diabetes during the pregnancy. And that's part of the reason why it's so important that women go to antenatal clinic early, and that they follow it up, and that they go to where they're going to get proper care. Okay, where there's a trained nurse or a doctor who knows what he's doing that takes care of your pregnancy, so that if you develop diabetes during your pregnancy, it can be cared for. Otherwise, you can have very bad outcomes for your baby. First of all, the baby might be very large. That can cause challenges in the birth canal, or it can be the baby itself can, after he's born, his blood sugar can drop and he can have challenges. So those are the three types. We also know that 13% of the world, in other words, if there are 100 of us sitting in the room, 13 of us are likely to have diabetes, and that is type 2 diabetes, adult onset diabetes. That is not pregnancy. And we know that by 2030, we think 20% of us will have diabetes. And we have seen the acceleration. We see more and more people, and above all, we see younger people coming with diabetes, with adult onset diabetes. So what is this diabetes? We also, in Grenada, we call it sugar, because what the doctor finds is that you have high sugar in your blood. So let's say we have a meal. When you have a meal, your brain tells your stomach, oh, Godfrey just had a plate of pea soup with dumpling and fig. All right, Godfrey? A plate of pea soup with dumpling and fig and whatever you put in there, whatever people put in. So he's had, and probably some sour beef, right? That's how we cut it, or some chicken. And so you've had proteins from the meat, but you've had carbohydrates from the yam and the starches that you put in there, okay? Different kind of carbohydrates, but once the carbohydrates, the digestion of the carbohydrate actually begins in your mouth. Once you start the digestion, your brain says, oh, Godfrey has some carbohydrates, some sugar in his system, so I need to get some insulin to work. So it sends a message to your pancreas. There's some that's that organ that produces insulin. Insulin is a chemical, is a hormone that has a certain duty. The brain sends a message to your pancreas. Your pancreas start to produce or eliminate or release insulin, which is going to help in the uptake. So remember, by your stomach, a lot of most or all of the glucose that you have consumed, because all your starch is going to break down to glucose. you'd have glucose in your stomach. The blood vessels around your stomach will absorb the glucose. Just passes passively, just goes straight into the blood vessels. But that's not where that's not where the glucose is needed. Remember I said that we need glucose to win, glucose to talk, glucose to dance, glucose to move, glucose to go to the bathroom, whatever it is. You need energy, right? Because that's what the glucose does. It gives you energy. In order for the glucose to move from your blood vessel, from your bloodstream, to go into the muscles and into the tissues that require it for their work, you need the presence of insulin. And not just insulin, you need sufficient quantity, and you also need to have good quality of insulin. If you do not have good quantity or quality, some might get it helps with the transport from the blood vessels into the muscles or into whatever your body tissue is. So if you don't have enough insulin, most of the sugar will actually remain in your blood vessel. And then the problems start, right? There's a limit. There is a limit, a lower limit and a high limit. Because if you did a blood sugar test, the lab would tell you it's between 70 and 110, or between 4.2 and 6, depending on what units they're using. What they're using is like using pounds or using kilos when you're weighing, okay? So it will tell you what are the limits. There's a range between X and Y that is normal. When you are diabetic, you have a sustained level that is above normal, constantly there in your bloodstream. But remember, it's not going in. So you still feel hungry. And you eat more. And you're hungry because you're not satisfied. Your body's still saying, hey, I need some energy. Feed me. Okay? And sometimes even your body starts breaking down its own stores in order to supply. But it still doesn't go in as you need it. It doesn't go in where it is needed. So you start getting hungry. Right? And because you have so much sugar in your bloodstream, and because the blood always passes through the kidney to be filtered. It goes around in circles, it goes through the kidney takes out most of the impurities, right? But if you have all that sugar, kind of flooding the gates, and just like when you go to the when it rains, sometimes you see your water in the pipe a little yellow. I'm sorry. Sometimes the water in the pipe is a little yellow. It's because sometimes the filter in the treatment plant can't hold back all the silt and all the thing that comes down. In the same way, you'll have some of the sugar slipping through, right? But when you eat, if you drop some sugar, making tea hurriedly in the morning, sweeten your cocoa, whatever, right? When you sweeten the cocoa, 2 grains of sugar drop on the counter. You don't have no time because the bus soon come, or your father will leave you home, or you have to get to work on time. And now that we have traffic light, we have to leave home 20 minutes before what time is it home.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
You can laugh, You can laugh.
No, it's true. It's true. It is true. Lights. It is true.
Long live the traffic lights.
It is true. It is true.
Put on the cameras. Okay, but that's for another encounter. So. And these, a few grains of sugar might drop on the counter, right? And when you get home in the evening, the sugar is melted. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Why?
Why it's melted?
Why the sugar comes into a syrup?
Heat and all of that.
Not heat. So remember this, when you went to primary school, they tell you about water vapor, that is water in the air, right? But sugar likes water. It is hydrophilic. It loves it. Okay? So the sugar pulls the water from the atmosphere and it melts. In the same way, if you filter in a lot of sugar through your kidneys, the water in your bloodstream will also follow. That liquid in your bloodstream, the water specifically, will follow. And so you start to pass a lot of urine. If you're losing your body fluids in the urine, you will actually get thirsty. So you drink a lot of water. So hence the cardinal signs of diabetes. You eat a lot, you're always hungry and can't satisfy. You pass a lot of urine, and you're always thirsty because you keep passing urine. The other signs like fatigue and itchy skin and all of that, but those are the 3 cardinal signs of diabetes. You want me to stop here? I can stop here.
No, because we No. It's important that you finish up this because it's important, very, very important.
So, what should you do if you have diabetes? Before you go down to the Diabetes Association, because that's a very important component of our management, caring for our diabetes. Who will have diabetes? People who have family. If your mother and your father, if your mother has diabetes, you have a 25%, your mother or your father. But guess what? If both your parents have diabetes, you have probably like 60 to 75% chance of developing diabetes. So there's that genetic link. But you also have 40% chance of not getting it. Okay, remember that. That's the important part of it. And so lifestyle change and being aware and checking your sugar every so often and all the rest is very important so that you don't check, to make sure that you don't get diabetes. Or if you get it, you're able to fix it quick, hold on to it and make sure you have control. I'm sorry, I'm outside, so I have a lot of insects. So if there's a family history, you're likely, okay? It is claimed that women who have had gestational diabetes during pregnancy, are likely to develop diabetes. So are the children that came through that pregnancy. They also like to develop diabetes. But then things like obesity and the kind of diet we have these days, if we eat a lot of highly processed foods, ultra processed foods we call them, right? The flour and the pasta. They must say that word, I get vexed. The flour and the pasta, the things that all the foods that are packaged that we buy because they're convenient. Yes, they are, but they're not necessarily good for us. Plus, we eat large volumes. Plus, we're unable to control what we eat because we get satisfied quickly, but then the blood sugar drops, right? It goes up and then it comes back down in the normal population. But it also puts a lot of stress on your pancreas, on that organ that produces insulin, right? And so the pancreas gets to work as long as you're having all of these sweet foods and these foods that digest quickly and they send up your blood sugar. Say we have the high glycemic index. You eat it and your sugar shoots up, right? Do you understand? The higher your sugar gets, the higher glycemic index after you eat. So those things are going to put you at risk if that's all you're eating. If you're inactive, if you're when you become obese, if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, those things put you at risk, especially if you already have that predisposition, that possibility of getting diabetes. Okay? So it is important that we not just go and check after we start to have problems, but it's important to screen for diabetes from very early by doing a simple finger stick, or there's another test that we can do. But you can do if you do a finger stick regularly, you may find a trend in that your sugar is tending towards high. And then, but then you'd have to well, we all need to be taking steps to not develop diabetes by eating healthily, exercising and stuff, stay within our required weight. Once you have elevated blood sugar, you should see a doctor. If you go in a clinic or sometimes they have screening sessions in community, they have health fairs. You really should go there. You should be sent to your primary care doctor. Whether that's in your clinic or you have a private doctor, you need to be seen by somebody who can help you to manage it. Does everybody need medicines? No, because some people, if you can maintain a diet and exercise, you can get some control over your diabetes. The challenge is that a lot of us do not go to the doctor until we're very ill, until we have, severe diabetes and are unable to control it. Can we control our diabetes regardless of our sugar, regardless of how high it is? Yes, we can, because as time goes by, we know that knowledge is more extensive. We know that we've had lots of new medications, especially in the last 2 decades. There have been lots of medications made. Before that, early, like 100 years ago, we had insulin made. And that was a major change and a major savior for people who had diabetes. These days, a lot of people don't get insulin because they can manage with diet, exercise, and medications by mouth, right? Understanding what foods are good for you, what foods are not good for you. Why do we really want to control our diabetes? So Godfrey, eat a bowl of pea soup, right? With all the dumplings, 6 big dumplings, and you know how we eat in Grenada. It's always too much, right? So you eat the dumpling and the fig and the bulgur and the yam, especially when you get a little white sweet yam that melts in the pot, right? And your sugar goes, you eat, but you're a healthy male. Let's say you did not have diabetes. What happens when your body produces the insulin takes into your cells what you need, okay? Remember that range between 70 and 110 to maintain your blood sugar at that level. The rest is stored as fat or glycogen in the liver, right? Glycogen, liver, and you have fat. We have fat because we eat a little more than we need, right? That's what the rest is. But that's in a normal person. In a person who now has diabetes, that sugar stays in your blood. You know, and you measure it tomorrow and you measure it, it's just always high. But the red blood cells, right, are actually affected if your blood sugar is high. Because when you eat, I said 2 hours after you've had a meal, even in basic conditions, where you just sit down watching TV, TikToking, whatever you're doing, when you eat, your sugar goes back to normal in 2 hours once you're a healthy person. In the case of people who have diabetes, that is not so. In the case of people who have diabetes, that sustained, that constant, every time you jerk yourself, you get a high sugar, is really bad. Because what it does is stick on, glycosylate is called, stick on to the red blood cells. We know that red blood cells are necessary for transporting nutrients, and for transporting oxygen to the tissues, right? And red blood cells are very pliable. In other words, they can move. They're very, like how you're making pizza and you see the pizza dough swinging around and it can go in all different ways. No, when you put that pizza in the oven, it gets kind of hard, right? It can bend into every nook and cranny. And the organs that the sugar attacks has to do with the fact that, it's as a result of the level of oxygen getting to the tissue being so decreased, right? And the other toxins that is high glucose will produce. But what we know of the mechanism is that these blood cells have all the surplus sugar onto them. We know that these blood cells now can't move freely. So in places like in your fingertips and your very small vessels in your eye, your small vessels in your brain, right? Tiny vessels in your heart, your kidneys, which have tiny, tiny vessels anyway, and your legs, your feet, right? You don't have the kind of what we call perfusion, the movement of oxygen and food and nutrients into those tissues, right? Because the blood cells cannot wind its way through those tiny, sometimes just little channels, right? And they clump up to each other and all the rest. So the tissue beyond that starts dying. The nerves in the area starts dying. And so what do we have? Loss of your vision because the retina becomes very, very ill, right? You see a lot of changes in the blood vessel, a lot of vascular changes, right? Or your brain, because you keep getting little strokes. It might not be obvious in the beginning, but after you get a whole lot of those, right? Because of the decreased circulation in the brain, we see people developing vascular dementia, people who had long-standing, especially uncontrolled diabetes and hypertension too. That's bad. We call them Psyche and Trim, Bonnie and Clyde, two bad friends, and they always love to walk together, right? And then you can also have challenges with people have an increased rate of heart attacks, people who have diabetes, because the heart pumps blood, but the heart needs its own supply of a good quality of blood, that can carry a lot of oxygen. But if these blood cells are covered in sugar, they really can get there to carry it, right? And then, of course, the kidneys. We talk about the kidneys already. The kidneys are already fragile and has tiny vessels. If those vessels are affected, plus you have all this sugar, this heavy sugar cascade and breaks the membranes, we know about the renal failure, kidney failure, and people needing dialysis and all of that. And of course, the circulation in the foot and the nerves going bad and stuff. And so those are the 5 areas that are mostly going to get affected. Not that there aren't other areas. Think about it. Remember, people, brain, eye, heart, kidneys, and feet. Circulation in general, okay? And that is why it is so very important, because I tell my patients that diabetes is a galloping horse. It takes off, and if you don't tame it early, you're going to have a lot of challenges. It's always going to be there to cause all the things all the complications, which is what we want to prevent. Right. We know that if you have poorly treated diabetes, within 20 years, you'll develop renal failure. Some people seem to be going even earlier, or maybe it is that we have been diagnosing quite late.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, Doc, let's bring in Nurse Victor. Nurse, you've been in this business for many years. Just before we go into to talk about the association and what has been done, just share with us a little bit of your experience with, people who are diabetic, who you've dealt with over the years.
Okay. Where should I start?
From the very beginning.
Just start.
That's place I would never be able to go back to. Maybe I can share on, patients that you'll see with the different age groups. Mm-hmm. For instance, you may have out of seeing children who are diabetic and, growing up with diabetes, how it would affect them. And it's at school, even they themselves, they end up being shy. They don't really want to have friends because, the children, some of them are scorning them because they don't know that diabetes is not a contagious condition. And, the children are not the only ones affected. You have the parents, right? Because it is costly to maintain and to manage the diabetes. So these children would have to be on insulin. These insulins are not just cheap, right? And now we have so much out there in the wider world, like the types of insulin, like you have those with the continuous monitors and all of that. So, it is getting more and more, how should I put it? Technology has been helping, right? So these, if you know technology, once you speak about technology, you think of an increase in cost, right? So besides they having to eat properly, and your parents have to try to ensure that these children know, they know exactly how to treat themselves while they are away from them. Let's say they're at school, in primary school or so. The parents are not there with them, so that's another headache for the parents again, and having to involve the teachers and even some of the children in the classes for those children that are with these children. Then you have these children now coming down with a lot of infections. You have them, so they may tend to be sickly, if we may call it like that. You have the burden not only for the parents, but you have hospitalization. So it's a burden again on the society, on the government, right? And this is not only for children, but we have the young adults, we have the older, the adults, and then we have the older ones, our grandparents and so, who would end up with all the amputations and all of that. And this is something that the ministry is really trying to put a halt on, right? We're hoping that we can decrease the amount of amputations in the near future by what we're doing here tonight, giving more education and all of that, and having organizations like the St. Grenada Diabetes Association, and other partners and stakeholders. So with the amputations, I must say, in dealing with the patients themselves, especially we're speaking now more of the elderly patients, they tend to be so sad and depressed at times, especially when it just happened, because they're not expecting this.
Right.
They know that they might have been hearing, control your diabetes and all of that, and they may have been given information. The doctors would speak, the nurses would speak, the association will do their bit, but it's left up to the individual. And when it comes to the point when you have to end up with an amputation or your loss of vision, kidney failure, all these things, it is sad.
Yes.
It's very, very sad. And it's not just for the patient, it's sad, but, just you as a nurse working along with a patient, let's say for 10, 15 years, and you're looking at the progression of the disease instead of it, being able to control, and it, that person just, with all the information they're getting, they still continue to eat all the high carbs, and, they're just not paying attention to their bodies until that day when they realize, okay, my eyes are really dark now. I can't see properly in the glasses anymore. Or they get a nail prick or something, or they get an ulcer and it's just not healing.
Right.
And they would complain, I have this ulcer for 2-3 years, and that is one of the parts that really hit home for me as a nurse. I've recently gone back into the community area where I'm, dealing with these conditions, and it is sad when you look at persons that come to you today and they both legs, and in the next 3 months, 4 months,
they have one,
or a year, they can't walk, or you hear they're in hospital because they would have lost a toe or they lost part of the leg. It is sad.
It is. Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're talking about the Diabetes Association. So stay with us, folks. We'll be back in just a moment.
Your life is yours. Your future's in your hands. Your body is yours. That's why you need a plan. You gotta plan your family, avoid HIV, get the education from the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association.
We offer STI screening, gender-based violence counseling, prenatal and postnatal checks, injectables, condoms, pap smears, and other sexual reproductive services. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Pointe Street, St. George's. Whether male or female, it doesn't matter. We're here to make your life better.
Grenada Planned Parenthood Association.
For appointments, call 440-3341.
If there was ever a time to keep and stay healthy, it's now! We at Hills and Valley are here to help you take deliberate steps to maintain your health. We stayed true to maintaining the most comprehensive rates while stocking the widest range of medicines and health devices, including personal protective equipment. There are so many benefits shopping with us. You get great savings through discounts for senior citizens and reward cards for loyal customers. Ask about owning yours today. Visit us at Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George, Jubilee Street opposite the Grenville Bus Terminal, and at Hillsborough, Carriacou. Our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street also stocks the widest range of pharmaceuticals. We are with you on the hills and in the valleys. We are Hills and Valley Pharmacy.
Have you heard about the new Softweave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue, available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Dr. and Call, and tonight we're discussing diabetes. It is the month of November, Diabetes Awareness Month, and of course, the Grenada Diabetes Association. They have a representative with us tonight, and they'll be sharing with us in just a moment some of the plans for this month. So, Nas Victor, we're coming back to you. It is the month of November, and the Grenada Diabetes Association, I know every year you've been, very active, raising awareness, just reminding people about the importance of taking care of themselves. I mean, you just shared with us some experiences as a nurse dealing with people who are diabetic and looking at the progression of the disease and how it can actually change people's lives, completely. Let's talk now about the month of November, what is happening as it relates to the association.
Okay. So just to inform the public, the general public, maybe I'll give a little information about the association first of all, so that you're aware that this association has been around for quite some time. It's about 41 years since the existence of the Grenada Diabetes Association, and this was through the president at the time, that was Barrister of Law, Mr. Ernest John, who would have established the association, and he has passed, but kudos to him, and to all others who would have continued as we are trying to do today. Right? The association is committed to, as Godfrey said, providing the information that is needed on diabetes management, diabetes prevention, right, throughout the states of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. This is not done just by ourselves, but we do that in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council, non-governmental organizations such as Lions Club, the Adventist health professionals. We even have non-governmental organizations such as St. George's University, who normally would assist wherever they can. And of course, we have other private sectors like pharmacies and so who assist us. For the month of November, as previously mentioned before, we have a number of activities in collaboration with other stakeholders. So we would have started already. We had the first activity was October 28th. Yes, it was in October because it was trying to tie in with Child Month. So there was screening at the Holy Spirit Catholic School in Shantimel, St. Patrick. And these activities continue now into November. We would have had church services that would have taken place already. We also had some other screening activities and diabetes education, and so taking place in the various parishes. Just to bring us up to date now, today the 7th, we would have had some visitation of the shut-ins in Carriacou. So Carriacou is not left out, right? Carriacou is well on board with us. So Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So we had the shut-in visit there. And in St. Andrews, we should have had a 10-minute nutrition session where show the plate, right? Was create a human circle with the students there at the school. This is in collaboration with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. And we're going to have the same event on other days throughout in St. Patrick's, not St. Patrick's, in St. David and St. George's, right? We're going to be having the same session taking place. We also have some educational talks and meal preparation also coming up November 9th. That will take place in Carriacou. And later again, we have that taking place in St. George and St. Andrew, also St. David. We have church services again. So those that have already gone, we had St. Andrew, St. Patrick, St. Andrew last week. So coming on the 11th, we will have one in Carriacou. So the Seventh-day Adventist Church, that would be in Carriacou. We'll also have a match on the 12th. That's also in Carriacou. Also in Grenada now we have a walk. This would be a health walk from the Moya Bridge in Grenville to the car park. This walk, we're encouraging persons. You don't have to be diabetic. You don't have to have a family member who is diabetic, but just knowing that it's important to spread awareness and to let persons know the importance of diabetes and diabetes prevention and management. So you can join us on that walk, the 12th, and that will be from 3 p.m. from Moya Bridge, as I said, to Grenville Car Park. On the 14th, we're hoping to pin on a significant person in our society. And we're hoping to do that with our dear Prime Minister, Honorable Deacon Mitchell. So we want to do that on the 14th. We'll be having a supermarket tour at the Foodland Supermarket. This also is in collaboration with Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. Persons can go out there and they can learn how to read labels, know how to make healthy choices of, by reading your labels, you know how to avoid taking up the high carbohydrate foods, highly processed foods, you know how to, make the best choice. Also on the 14th, within the parish of St. David, we're going to be having a presentation on healthier snack choices for children. This activity would take place at the Windsor Forest Pre-Primary School, and that would also be done in collaboration with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. On the 15th, we'll be having educational talk and visitation to shut-ins, and that will be in Petit Martinique. On the 17th, we'll be having a youth seminar. So because we say the word youth, we don't want to just limit it to what we consider as youth or what the public consider to be youth. You believe, well, once you're 25, you're a youth, and once you reach 35, you're an adult, you're old. Not just adults, but old, right? We don't want to limit it like that. However, we team it a youth symposium, and this will take place at the Windrift Conference Room at St. George's University from 12 noon to 5 p.m. And we're inviting persons to attend, right? Feel free to come along and get some information, some added information that we cannot provide everything here tonight or, just one session, okay? On the 18th, that's Saturday the 18th, we'll be having a free diabetes clinic, and that will be from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the Penmotor Gospel Hall Church. Feel free again, the persons within the area, in the surrounding areas, feel free to attend and get your screening done, right? We'll be having a lot of information. You can get your feet examined, especially as diabetics. You can get your feet examined because we know we spoke earlier on about the risk of, or we spoke about having the amputations, right? And if you get your feet examined early, you can, be able to pick up these problems before they're too bad, they're out of control. Okay, so feet examination is very, very important. And that's just to name part of what we'll be doing, okay? But we'll have a lot of screening and so taking place. Even vision, okay? And we're partnering with Clear Vision for this venture also. So we have doctors on board, we have nurses, so we have a whole team Food and Nutrition Council, right, who will be there to provide care at that free diabetes clinic. Also on the 21st, we have Are You at Risk? Know Your Response. And this is where we are hoping that at the St. Andrews Vegetable Market and also at the bus terminus in St. George, we'll be able to have this session where persons can come and know their risk, whether or not they have a high risk of developing diabetes or not. So if they have a high risk, they know they can still prevent it, as Dr. Nixon said. Not because your both parents have diabetes, that doesn't mean you have to have it. By lifestyle changes, right? And you just adhering to some really simple information, you can control and prevent you from diabetes. There is also seedling distribution to selective persons so that we can encourage persons to grow what you plant, what you need to eat, right? So you grow it and you eat it. Better than going and eat all the processed foods and all the imported vegetables and so, right? We're not saying that what is available you have to use, yes, but we're just trying to encourage persons there that if you plant a little, you have something to eat. And that would also decrease the cost on your pocket, right? So this would also be done in collaboration with Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. The 23rd, we'll be having the same meal preparation again with local produce, and this will take place in the parish of St. John, St. Mark's. We also have a walk again, a health walk, on the 25th of November, and this is from the Hard Court in St. John's to Cuthbert Peters Park. This time we're partnering with the Lions Club. So you see we have a lot of non-governmental, along with us, right? We also have on the 26th, we have diabetes education and screening again, and this would be in Mount Rich. The 27th, we're hoping, as I said, to have the session at the bus terminus. That is, Are You at Risk? Right? Because we know that persons tend to, especially bus drivers and conductors, they ply the road so hard that they feel it's hard, they can't take time off to visit a clinic and just get a little screening themselves. So we're bringing it out there to you. So we hope that you make use of that. On Fridays, we have what we call Blue Fridays. So every Friday, we're hoping that persons are going to wear their blue to symbolize diabetes. So I'm going to go back on the 14th. This day is marked World Diabetes Day, right? So not only in Grenada we'll have celebrations or activities, but this will be worldwide. Right, so although we are having activities for the entire month, we will be having celebration. There will be celebration all across the world, okay? Because Grenada is part of what we call the Diabetes Federation, right? So that is an international organization that is recognized worldwide, okay? So these are the activities we're hoping to have. Some of, as I said, would have gone already. Some are still to come. So we hope that the general public would make use of these activities, go out there and get some information. Bring a friend with you if you're going on the walk. Tell somebody else about the walk and, wear your blue t-shirt if you can get one, right? If you don't and you have white, that's fine. Come along. Don't say you don't have one that you're not coming, right? So feel free to join us on our different activities.
Wonderful indeed. Quite a bit, Doc. Quite a bit of activities there. I love the idea when she mentioned the bus drivers who, up and down on the road, doing things and not finding the time. I think this is very, 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 very important.
So I agree with you on that point, that outreach is very important. Outreach for awareness and for screening. Unfortunately, a lot of people take these outreach health, the health clinics, the health fairs in the community as a health center and a treatment plant. It isn't. Mm-hmm. The outreach, and we try to tell people, outreach is just a screen and advise, give you counsel on how to eat, where to find support, a place where you can ask questions from people who have information to share, but not a place where you come and fill a prescription or you get another set of medication. We have to be very cautious because oftentimes we have visitors, you have international people visiting with all the goodwill in mind, but they give you medications that you may not be able to buy or may not be available on island, because what they use in the States, there are a lot of medications that are being used as first-line medication we just don't have here, nor on the government formulary, or the cost kind of prohibitive. So, there are just a few people. So you may get free medications, but remember that this has to be a sustained practice in managing your diabetes. So I just want people to remember that, okay? That you have to make sure that you go to your clinic. Once you're screened, you have to go and find somebody one person, not going from place to place. We can't be doctor shopping or clinic shopping, or just because you get a chance to stop. You have to make sure that, people who screen, they have to go and get the A1Cs. That test I told you, that you check your sugar 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I advise my patients to do 2-hour sugars, okay? Because when you do that test that looks at how your management is over a period of time, what it gives you is an average of your 2-hour sugars. Do you remember me saying, for example, that the after 2 hours after meal, the sugar should go back to normal, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to see whether your sugar is back to normal. A lot of people do their fasting sugar, but if you haven't eaten for 12 hours, your sugar should probably go back as close to normal as possible. However, you want to ensure that you're not having these persistent elevations of your blood sugar, because that is going to cause problems, right? And when we check your A1C every 3 months, because that is kind of the lifespan of the red blood cells. So the red blood cells that's alive today is probably not real alive in, December, January, February?
That's right.
On Independence Day, they're probably not going to be alive anymore, because that is the kind of average lifespan of the red blood cells, right? So remember that you have to check your sugar as often as possible. And that's where the Diabetes Association comes in. I don't know if Nurse mentioned that you can actually become a member of the association and get your testing testing materials, your blood glucose monitor and your strips at cost. The Diabetes Association tries to ensure that we have access to that kind of material, because I think everybody should be empowered to manage their sugar, not to wait until you go to the doctor. And you can do that by doing your 2-hour sugars. Patients who do that are very happy. I'll give you a joke. So this lady, who's a relatively good patient, should call when she has challenges. We sit and talk about it. She comes to ask questions, and I changed some of her medication and said, look, let's just manage and see how your 2-hour sugars go. And she came back 2 or 3 weeks later, and she said to me, that white bread is a killer. And I said to her, why did you say that? And she says, well, somebody relative baked bread, homemade bread, right? White bread. And the bread tastes nice to see, so she had 2 slices a night before she go to bed. And she got up in the morning and she has another 2 slices. And she had a booklet, right, of all her 2-hour sugar tests for the last 2 weeks. And that one day, after the 2 hours after she had those 2 other slices of bread, notwithstanding that her sugars before like 89 and 76 and 90 and 100, and she's really doing well, right? but she was 187. She nearly dead. She was in such shock.
The white bread.
What it does is empower her to understand what you can eat and what you cannot eat. Because every time she does her sugar, she writes the stuff she's eaten in the period before, like the meal she's had, what she has consumed. So each one of us needs to be able to manage, to take control of our sugar by learning. You're not going to fix it in a week. You're not even going to fix it in a year, in a month. You're probably not even going to fix it in a year, but you learn stuff and you become more and more adept at managing your diabetes, because we really need to prevent the blindness. We really need to prevent the strokes. We really need to prevent the limb loss, right? And all those things that you have to do, right? It includes how you manage your food, and whether you're gonna go to your doctor often and get your foot checked and your eye checked and your dentist to see how your teeth looking, because circulation into your gum is a challenge as well, so you don't lose your teeth, and make sure your heart is working and your kidneys are working fine, and check your foot to make sure your nerves not gone bad and your circulation is sustained, right? People have to understand that that's part of your responsibility, okay? That you need to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing I wanted to bring up. When it comes back, I'll say it.
Right. Let me just go back to Nurse Victor. In terms of the association support to diabetics, what kind of support do you give to people who are diabetic? And when can someone come to the association for some, whatever kind of support or assistance or help? What is available?
Okay. So at the association, we provide insulin, right? Yes, free of cost, to especially persons with type 1 diabetes, right? Notice I said especially, right? Because remember we said type 1, they are insulin dependent, right? So there are a few persons who in the senior years, but are also on insulin, right? So some of those persons are also provided with insulin. We also have the blood sugar machines, as Dr. Nixon mentioned. It's at a reduced cost. It's just you pay $20 for your registration. So first of all, you have to become a member of the association. They pay $20 for registration, and that is a yearly fee, right? Then you pay $50 for your bottle of strips. Notice I said strips and not machine.
Right.
So you are provided with a free glucose meter.
Monitoring.
Yes, so that you can monitor your blood sugar, right? So you have your machine, you get your strips now, $50 every month, right? Or however you use it. So if you use the one bottle and it lasts you for 2 months, that's fine. But just note that you are getting yourself a free glucometer. So you are able to now monitor your blood sugar readings. You don't have to always run to the clinic to have it, have your blood sugar checked. You can, just as doctor was saying, the lady who would have been able to do her 2 hours, right, or 2 hours checks, you can monitor yourself like that. Do your recording so that when you go to the clinic or you go to see your doctor, you can bring it in so that you can have an idea as to how your levels have been, right, over a period of time and all of that, right?
You mentioned, go ahead. Yeah, when you finish.
The association is open 8 to 4, right, Monday to Friday. And we would have relocated, I must say, from the St. John Ambulance Brigade building in Tantine, that was at the foot of GBSS. We have now relocated to upstairs Andal and Associates. That's a supermarket on the Carenage, right? And we are ever so grateful to Mr. Andal for allowing us to have that space, right? We had a situation with the building there that we really needed to come out. And we are ever so grateful to him for giving us that opportunity to use the building there, right? We have a new number as well. So I'm just going to share that with you. It's 0888, right? It's 444-0888, or you can get us via cellular phone as well on 404-8081. Okay? So remember, becoming a member of the association gives you added benefits, right? In the near future, we are hoping that you'll be able to go along and get your members can go along and get their discounts at different entities, right? This is something that we had in the past, and we are trying to revamp that, right? So when you go to buy your medication at the different pharmacies, let's say, well, I wouldn't call a pharmacy name, but any pharmacy, once they're working along with us, right, collaborating with us, you may be able to get, even if it's $2 off.
Yes, you get something, right? Mm-hmm.
Something else, right? So you can get discounts and all of that, right?
Right. I was asking just now when you mentioned being a member and having the peer registration. The membership of the association, is it only for people who are diabetic, or anybody can become a member of the association?
So anybody can become a member of the association. Once you have the interest in being a member of the association, you can reach out to us. Right? You may have a family member who is diabetic. Right? So you yourself can come now, so you can get the information to pass on to that person.
Right.
You may have your mother, your father also. You can help care for him or her. Right? So you can maybe enroll the person. So if it's a mother, you can enroll your mother as a member, but you're the one that will be coming for the information for your mother, and that is fine.
Okay, fantastic. Right, Doc. I want to come back to you now, and as Victor mentioned, you can register, so that you can assist family members. Let's talk about that care, because I think it's very important. People who become very ill with diabetes, and probably they have vision problem, they may have, mobility problems, and so on and so forth. Let's talk a little bit about the care that is required and how it can actually impact other family members who have to provide that care.
So first of all, the management, taking care of diabetes has to be collaborative. It must be a relationship between the person who has diabetes and the physician. But it must also include whatever support systems. We have Diabetes Association, for example. The ministry has clinics where you can go. The government, we have 34 clinics back up. 35 back up, I think, because there are 2 new ones. One refurbished in Wester Hall, I think, and one and another one recently in another part of the country. The point is that we have facilities where people can actually go to get their diabetes monitored. But this is important also that the lifestyle changes that are required be a part of the family's behaviors. You remember when I used to say I cook in a different pot because you have diabetes food? Mm-hmm. There's no diabetes food. There's just food that everybody eats healthily in the house, right? So if I have diabetes, I think we lost nurse. If I have diabetes and I hope I've charged my phone. If I have diabetes and you and my family should be eating, welcome back, nurse. If I have diabetes and my family and I should be eating, we should be doing the same kind of activities. So it has to be collaborative. We have to ensure that there are places in a community where people can walk. We have to ensure that people have the ability to access their medications. Diabetes Association gives you insulin and gives you a monitor. And like she said, the insulin is mostly for the juvenile or the type 1 diabetes, those children who are born and they cannot make any insulin at all, right? Principally for them, because they need insulin. They cannot survive without the insulin, right? But we also have to ensure that we have social services, within the healthcare system, that people can access the medications. People can have they have health insurance, whatever it is, so people can have access to the medications. But family support is very important. what are the things someone who just developed diabetes should do, apart from going to their doctor and stuff? You should get your eyes checked to see what is the baseline, because you don't know how long you've had diabetes, okay? And if your eyes are still when the doctor does fundoscope. And that's one of the things I wanted to say. The people who check your eyes for glasses are not the people who are going to look at your eyes to see how much damage, because they don't look back of eyes, they check just your refraction. So while we collaborate with them, we have to understand that they have some limitations in the service. You need to see the ophthalmologist, the real doctor who can go down and look at your fundus, look at the back of your eye and see if there's been any damage, especially people who have had long-term diabetes or guess that they had diabetes for a long time and have not been paying any attention. So you need your eyes checked. You need to go to the dentist. Okay? You need to go to the podiatrist, the person who takes care of your foot, to get an evaluation. And it's something you're probably going to need to do often. The podiatrist also, and there's some health centers that offer foot care services. The podiatrist will want to see you probably more than once, and he will also teach you how to care for your foot, what you should wear, what kind of shoes you should wear. We like to wear high heel shoes that tight, and when you finish, the top of your foot swell up and hanging out of the foot, and the front of the shoes narrow. You actually want to see a young girl wear your size. The truth is, you must wear comfortable shoes where your circulation is not compromised. Okay. And the podiatrist will teach you, and their shoes are there for people who have diabetes, especially if you have advanced diabetes. But also, if you just have become diabetic, you want to preserve your foot. One of the things that that is being tried, and I know, is the whole prevention of loss of limbs, right? So it means that you have to be able to examine your foot and check your foot and go look at it. And if you have circulatory problem, you should be seeing your doctor often. Even your general practitioner, you should be seeing, so you can see how far advanced or you may need to have the surgeon intervene, and if you have an ulcer on your leg and all on your feet, especially at the soles, right? And how to prevent, because we have to stop people from losing their limbs. We have to, remember I told you about a galloping horse? Mm-hmm. We have to bridle that galloping horse very, very, very early to avoid our people becoming disabled. Okay? Because if we're seeing a population that's getting diabetes earlier, it means that if we don't control it, we're going to have a population that's disabled earlier. That's going to affect our coffers, our social security coffers, our healthcare coffers, and all the rest of it. Plus, if you have diabetes together with hypertension, you have two bad guys, like I said, just constantly firing their guns at whichever organs. So we have to make sure. But it's important that families become a part of the management of diabetes and adopt a healthy lifestyle that is going to not only encourage a person with diabetes, but also going to prevent them from having diabetes as time goes by.
Wonderful. All right. So our telephone line, folks, is open. The number is 435-2041. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, Nurse Victor is here from the association. Doc is here. And of course, I know that they're quite excited to share whatever information they can with you. The number again, 435-2041. You can give us a call with your questions, or if you want to contribute to the program in any way. Doc, sorry, not Doc. Nurse Victor, you mentioned in the activities and so that you'll be moving around the various parishes, yes?
Yes, that's right.
Right. Just sort of give us a little reminder again of the dates where you're going to be in the various parishes. I know you probably may have been in some already, but just to sort of remind folks so they can look out and take advantage of the service that has been offered.
Okay, so from the 9th, on the 9th we have Carriacou, right? We have Mount Pleasant Clinic, Health Talk. We have another session in Carriacou with the meal planning, meal preparation using local produce, right? The 10th, Polio Roman Catholic School. I think that's name has changed there, but Just
Our Lady Help of Christians.
That's right. Our Lady Help of
I know, that's my church.
Right. Okay. So, Nurse Victor, let me just stop you for a little bit. We have a caller on the line. Let's just see who is with us. Doctor and call. Good evening. Hello. Good evening, caller.
Yes, I'm calling up for the program here.
Yes, go ahead, please. Okay, so caller, you probably need to turn the volume of your radio or your TV down and listen to us on your telephone. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I just calling to tell Nurse Victor, instead of clear vision, it's Coats Optical. That would be in Pedmont on the 19th and the 18th.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that correction.
Yes, Nurse Victor, Miss George calling.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. All right, all the best.
So I want to follow up on what caller mentioned, the person mentioned, because sometimes that's one of the problems we have, that people, your vision starts deteriorating and you just go to an optician and say, oh, this is how you're seeing, and they give you new glasses. When in truth and in fact, you don't need new glasses, you need to control your blood sugar. So people must remember that before you go to change your glasses, check your blood sugar.
Check your blood sugar. Okay. Great. Yes. So Nasia, we can continue with the information that you were sharing.
Okay. So, yes, so I was saying on the 10th, right, that's Friday coming. We're hoping to have the Human Blue Circle at the Lady. Give me again, Dr. Nixon.
Our Lady Help of Christians.
Our Lady Help of Christians, yes.
Primary school.
Yes, that's a primary school in Bolio there. And we also will have a 10-minute nutrition session where it says, show the plate, right? Show my plate. This is basically showing you what your plate should look like. Because you know that here in the Caribbean, we know, okay, or when we get to our plate of food is a nice plate of rice. Exactly. Yes, Dr. Nixon. Right? Highlight that with rice and then a piece of chicken on top there and maybe a little salad on the side.
But don't forget, you might still have some plantain and a little
some dumplings.
On the side. Yes.
White flour dumpling.
And then it might be not just steamed plantain, but fried plantain.
Right.
Fried plantain.
Yes. So that's how we knew it. That's how we ate before, right? But we know that knowledge is power. So, in collaboration with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council, we're starting in the schools, bringing the information to the children because they are so knowledgeable. And what I love about them is that they would say, Mommy, Daddy, in school, they said, don't give us that. That is too much. They wouldn't be afraid to speak up.
Right.
And that's why it is so important to involve them, give them the information. They will not remember everything, but if they start hearing it from such a tender age, they will have they will have added knowledge as they continue to grow. So it's important, right? So that's on the 10th. Okay, and hopefully we'll have that session also in the parish of St. David.
Right.
On the 11th, we'll be having a church service at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and that will be in Carriacou. Okay. We have a walk on the 12th. Also a march around the parish of Hillsborough, not parish, sorry, around Hillsborough in Carriacou. That's on the 12th again. Let me go back to the walk that I mentioned. That would be in St. Andrew. So this walk would be a big walk again. So we're expecting persons to come on out and support, right? We're not going to walk and then go and just, I don't want to say stuff down some unhealthy foods after, but we want to walk, get knowledge, right? And we want to apply it to our lives. So not just walking just for fun. Yes, we're going to enjoy the walk, But at the same time, we want to be able to remember some of the things that we would be told after that one, right? And remember to incorporate exercise in our daily lives. Okay, so that would be St. Andrew. On the 14th, which is World Diabetes Day, we have a supermarket tour where you can come out and learn how to read your labels, know how to choose, how to make the right choice. If you want to buy a snack, you have the semi-sweet biscuits, and then you have those that have the cream, then they're still sweet again, right? So they're sweet and then they still have the cream. When you look at those two labels, you can be able to make a right decision and say, okay, should I take this one with the cream, or should I take the one without the cream that has less sugar, right? Less carbohydrate. Okay, so that's just one of the things that I mentioned, because I know persons like to grab a little snack, and we're not mindful of what's in it. We just know it tastes good and we're going for it. Okay, so we're just going to be mindful as to how to eat, how to make choices. Okay, we also have diabetes, the pinning on, of a prime minister, where we're using the blue circle, and this is the significance of this blue circle is to let persons know that what happens with diabetes. Okay, we have a circle, and it's saying basically the
Okay, right.
So I was mentioning, let me just mention about the blue circle. That is Unite for Diabetes, right? That's basically what the circle says. So that's why we want to do the human blue circle with the children, right? So in pinning on the Prime Minister, we're doing it as a significance, right? So all through all the world, we have these significant persons being pinned.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, we need to want to do just the same, right? And another activity we're having on that day is a presentation at the Windsor Forest Pre-Primary School, where you have the healthy snack choices, right, for children, where parents would be educated on that, okay? Because we know that we're trying to curb it from since the beginning. So if we deal with childhood obesity, we know we have a chance now of putting a stamp on diabetes also later on in life, right? So hence, it's an activity that will be done in the school, and we're helping the parents now to make the right choice in giving the children the snack that would be, best for them.
Right.
Healthier.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Okay, I think we have another caller on the line, or did we lose? I think we lost the caller. All right, the number is 435-2041. That if we get that call, it will be our final one because we practically out of time. So, actually, next Tuesday, it's World Diabetes Day. I think it is. Yeah. So we will be having a special program, Doc, with hopefully get a few people to come on board, come on the program next Tuesday evening, and talk a little bit about some more about diabetes, because it is very, very important. So, folks, we're out of time. So what I'm going to do, Nurse Victor, I'm going to give you a minute just to make any closing remarks that you like, and then we'll come to Doc and wrap for this evening.
My encouragement to everyone out there, the general public, is to know your risk, right? Know what is, what's happening with you. Are you at high risk of developing diabetes? Go out there, get your screening. If you're not able to go to any of these sessions that we're having where the screening will be taking place, feel free to visit your doctor. Request your general checkup so that diabetes screening, I should say, will be part of it. Okay?
Wonderful.
Also, if you are diabetic, remember that that's not a life sentence, but you can care for your diabetes. You can prevent it from becoming worse, right? Just get to know your numbers. Control it, right? Watch what you put in your mouth. So we're just speaking about lifestyle changes and all of that, right? And remember, the Diabetes Association is there for you. We're partnering with many persons, many stakeholders, right? And you can become a member. Remember, we're located upstairs the Arnold supermarket on the Carnage. As you come up the step to go into the supermarket, you just take a left, you turn left onto the other stairs there, and you come up and you'll find us up there, right? And remember, you can become a member for just $20. You can get your blood sugar machine, you can purchase your strips, and, just take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones who have diabetes, and we're just here for you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Nurse Victor. It was indeed a pleasure having you on tonight, and hopefully we can have you on again sometime in the future. Dr. Nixon, your closing remarks?
Well, I guess our closing remarks will segue into next week because there's a lot more to talk about. This is not the end of the conversation. I want people to understand that we have to accept diabetes as part of the problem we have coming from lifestyle. It is a lifestyle disease that almost invariably courses with hypertension. I want us to remember the family history. If you have diabetes in your family, it is a problem, okay? But you don't have to have diabetes if you can combat the lifestyles that will lead you to have diabetes. I want you to remember that I've held fairs for screening. Let's move the blind and see if there's anything that I have, not a treatment center. And so if you are diagnosed or it is suggested that you may have elevated blood sugar or have diabetes, that you're going to need a little more care. I want to tell you not to lose heart if you have diabetes. Well, not to lose heart as well, but not to lose eye and brain and kidney and foot as well. But I want to tell you, don't think that this is the end of the road, because there are support services that can help you. And above all that, if you and your family work collectively, right? So for example, when we do nutrition counseling, you're advised to take the person who cooks, who provides most of the meal in the house. When you're going shopping, you should, you who has been advised should be the person leading the shopping for the family, right? There's a lot to learn, and we have to stem that march to 20% of our population of the world. We actually are probably like 13 to 15% of our population has diabetes, and maybe more because not everybody comes for screening. Fair not. Especially the men, diabetes will also cause impotence in men. So we want to make sure that, because it's circulatory, you need blood to get an erection. So we want to make sure that everybody can live the healthy lifestyle. There's a possibility. Don't put fear first. Do not put fear first, but step up and let's deal with this collectively and find all the support that one requires, all right? And we can combat this whole diabetes epidemic. We can stop ourselves from losing our feet. We can stop ourselves from being blind. We can stop ourselves from needing dialysis. We can stop ourselves from having heart attack and strokes if we do what is required. Because the information that's given to you is information that's already scientifically proven. Okay,
wonderful. Thank you very much, Doc. Well, that's all the time we have this evening, folks. Special thanks to Nurse Catherine Mitchell-Victor from the Grenada Diabetes Association. It was indeed a pleasure having you. Thank you for the information, folks. I hope you, were able to remember some of the stuff that she shared with you. The association will be in different areas carrying out, different activities, and you should take advantage of that. All right. Also, the new office is located upstairs and Associates on the Carnage. Yeah, and of course you can visit them, and you will be able to get a lot of valuable information and support from from the association. Protect yourselves. Remember what Doc said. We continue most likely for the month of November to highlight the importance of, doing things right. As Doc said, it is a lifestyle condition, and you can make all the difference, depending on your choices. So thank you very much for staying with us. We look forward to having you next week. It would be World Diabetes Day, and of course we will have a very special program for you. So until then, to have a good night, all the best.